Welcome back. You're now on the political segment. My name is Ayo Adams.
And I am Zainab Aditola.
And on the political segment today, we'll be discussing youth inclusion in Nigeria's governance. And it's been a couple of years that youth have been repeatedly clamoring to be included in the governance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But up to date, the youth are still clamoring for that change, the high percentage. The not too young to run bill was passed. And some people will still argue that the inclusion of youth has still been a little bit watered down. Across the world, it's over quite just 2% of Nigerians are parliamentarians across the world. And you look at it over the years, we've been talking about youth inclusion in politics, youth inclusion. And you could also look at it, youth also played a large role in the last presidential election in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So, would you say that youth have been properly represented?
Well, it's very hard to give an opinion, but what many people that I have conversed with will say is that while we have seen an increase of young people in politics because of the Not Too Young to Run bill, what kind of young people are we seeing? Sons and daughters of politicians, people that have worked in the political party system for a while, so they are getting favors in return, those kind of things. But I mean, it's not our call to make. Let's hear what our guests have to say about that today.
Yeah, we have...
Okay, so we have as our guest this morning, we have Anthony Eromusele back with us on the political segment. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
He's a political analyst and also social inclusion advocate. And I also have Honorable Idris Kalgo. He's a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. We're excited to have you with us in the studio.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
I'll start with you, Anthony. And we've just talked about how youth played a large role in the participation in the last election. Quite higher than, before. You could see the youth advocating, seriously wanted to be part of the electoral process. Would you say afterwards, now post-election, the president has been inaugurated, they are up and running. Would you say that youths have actually been properly represented so far?
Okay, so far, I would say the youth have been properly represented to some large extent. So thank God you talk about the Not Too Young to Run bill that was passed. So since the advent of that bill, I would say there has been a high level of increase in terms of youth participation in governance and politics. Talking about the just concluded election and this present administration. So I think it's quite evident from the federal level to various state level. I can cite example talking about we have part of the ministerial nominees or just confirmed ministers. One of the youngest we have in the inception of Nigeria political administration, talking about Dr. Betta Edu. So you see, and she's in her 36, 37 days of age.
That's young.
And that's quite young. So when we talk about others that have also played key parts, you look at Kwara State, you know the Rukayat Shitu, that's quite prominent. She's in her 20s, 26. And we have also somebody representing Ogun State's House of Assembly, also 26. And if you go back to the middle belt, we have somebody in Nasarawa State, they're about in those age range. I would say kudos to Samson Todo that pushed for the advocacy for the Not Too Young to Run bill that was passed. And since that, and talking about the current administration, there has been some representation of youth in governance, and we hope to see more of that too.
Okay, Honorable Idris, is that something that you agree with? Would you say that there have been proper representation of youth in politics and, say, governance with this new administration?
Well, absolutely not.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, we have, how many youths do we have in Nigeria? You can say maybe almost more than 100 million youths. And then out of all these people, we have well-educated people, and then you can only make mention of 2 or 3. It's a shame for me because you can't even say I don't see any success there. And I don't even see we the youth going forward. And when you talk about the youths, it's only about those who are very close to the politicians.
Okay.
Those who only supported them in one way or the other. Or those who they would benefit from. Not the youth that will benefit the masses, the common people. Because that's what we are talking about. If you want to talk about governance, we have to talk about the people. Because the people are the government. If they are happy, you are happy. If they are not happy, you are not happy. So if you look at it closely now, go back to history, where we have head of states at the age of 30, 32, 34, 35, where we have prime ministers early 40s, where we have governors at 30,
You know, I was going to say that when
So-
he said this is the first time. I
Yeah,
mean, we've
so-
had governors in their 30s.
So now you can see we are now having people at the age of 36, and then you are happy thinking that, okay, the youths are coming up. Where are we going to? What happened to those brilliant ones who were even far better than most of them? Yeah, it's not everybody that will be given power, surely, but you need to talk about, or you need to bring people that will get connected to the people. And then you need to understand that where is the strength? We have only just 1 or 2 ministers? But come on. This is not what our presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, says. It's very, I'm going to give 40% of my cabinet to the youth. So imagine if it is Atiku Abubakar as a president. How many youth are we going to have as cabinet? And not the kind of youths that would be 45, 50. People who are vibrant, people who stand, people who represent Nigeria well. This is the kind of people that we are all looking at, not just kind of any people who would just come, who don't even have the experience to even govern or to even lead a parastatal or something else. So we need to understand that properly, and then we need to watch closely, because it's going to affect us. It's not just about giving everybody anything. So you need to look at what is going to be the consequences that's coming after. How connected are they to their own people? Which is very, if you look at them with history, it's very, the record is kind of very poor. So what are you getting out of it from there? So we need to understand that. And it's only, these politicians only keep projecting their children. Where are we heading to? How can you, because I was, some of them now, okay, let me give you one example. And also we need to understand that these youths need to do well, whether they like it or not. Because if they failed, that means many people, they're going to count the many youths as if like, okay, we are now all failures. We are not looking kind of a youth that, okay, today you see this person doing this and that. Because I was watching Twitter the other day, I saw a member House of Reps. I think it's 25 to maybe 28 years old, I think so, talking about weather, that the weather is going to add to more population. So you understand like how they are talking. So
let me come in there. You know, just to back up what you're saying. You know, there's a popular saying when we're kids. You know, we are the leaders of tomorrow, and it's
really?
tomorrow,
Yeah.
and a large number of us are still not leaders.
Sure.
You know, and that which brings me to my question. Just relative to what you're talking about, it's basically what you speak about sits in the bracket of nepotism. You know, people appointing people for who they know, their family members, and who has helped them during the election. What do you think has stifled their inclusion? Despite the fact that there are some brilliant and intelligent people that you have also spotlighted in the general term, what has stifled that inclusion? Is it that the person I know is better than the person you know, or the fact that those people who are actually intelligent they've not been offered a seat at the table, or they never get close to that table, or like general, some people will say, I don't want to be into politics. What has stifled that inclusion?
So many things, because first of all, you as a leader, you need to surround yourself with people who have the experience and competence. It's very, very important. Because, yeah, you can't just appoint somebody maybe just out of the cycle or something like that. But you need to get somebody who is prepared, somebody who's willing to do the job, somebody who has passion for it. Not just because now in Nigeria you can see once you are appointed, the next day you see people gathering, celebrating. What are you celebrating for? Are you celebrating that he's going to get money or what? Because I don't understand. They're putting a burden on your head.
Before you get all angry, let's come back. I mean, you're getting agitated already. Let's come back to Anthony. I saw you, shaking your head while he was talking. It feels like you do not really agree on some of the points that he raised. Do you have a different opinion?
So I think what I'd like to add to what he said was when he was talking about when you talk about nepotism, the issue of electing people in the service, their kids or their kindred to come up for electoral position or to represent or take over them. I would totally not agree with that, because if you check people that are doing stuff in the space, there is this trajectory of people that have been in the space that are visible. So you don't just sit in the sideline complaining about political issues and you are not engaged or fully involved. So I give example of somebody talking about the State House of Rep in Ilorin, Kwara State.
Kwara State.
She was very well known in her state for what she was doing around student activism and unions stuff. So I gave example also of Dr. Edu, the youngest minister we have now.
Yes, retired.
You see, if you check her trajectory, how she has come, she's just 30-something. But she has held office and political positions, and she was known. She has a voice. So these are the people that, regardless of the fact that we are advocating for youth inclusion in governance and politics, what are we doing in our various world? What are you known for? For the fact that somebody is young doesn't mean you just automatically pick them up and put them in electoral position. In your little space, what are you known for? What do people talk about when they mention your name? So before we even start clamoring for maybe like the boomers, they are all taking over the old guard now, if I choose to use that word. They are all taking over electoral position, they are giving their award. I don't know if we have any data to back that up in terms of like who and who. Because me, I believe in practical conversation. So if we have people like that, like me, I'm actually curious, like who's that governor that his son is taking up this political position, or who is that former president that his son is taking over this political position? So when citing example for youth, actually, I would like to add, we should not just talk in silos. Let's also add with facts. So, and that has to do with me still advocating for the fact that any young person out there that wants to take up a political position, you don't just have to wait or just be somebody that just complain or castigate the government. Be involved in your little space and be known
Anthony,
for something.
I would like to give you 3 examples of a state I'm very familiar with, and that is Oyo State. In Oyo State, sons of 2 former governors are currently lawmakers. Yes. One is a lawmaker at the federal level, one is a lawmaker at the state level. And then a current commissioner of the Oyo State governor is the daughter of a known political chieftain in the state. So, of course, I want to, I mean, if this is a state I'm familiar with, I want to believe that on a larger scale, there are examples of, young people who are coming from political families or whose fathers are politicians being appointed to political positions or taking over, in terms of elected positions. We have seen it play out. So
why that is so and why that is very wrong and very condemnable, I don't support that. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not just the bane of situation in Nigeria. That is actually happening. We won't rely on that fact. And in as much as that is happening, we are still here to say it is a very wrong thing to do. So what I'm trying to say is that in the bane of all this is that regardless of all this happening, we still have some people that are known in the space that are doing good things that are recognized. And if you want, like you said, if you're not the son of the who is who, how do you get involved and how do you get recognized? Contribute your little quota in your space and be known for something. So you don't, I know, okay, citing this example now, this is very true and it's not right. So what do I do to change that?
Becoming more inclusive.
Thank you very much.
All right,
be involved.
Honorable, just in line with what he was talking about, and just like something like we discussed before coming on, the Minister of Youth, we've been hearing a lot of back and forth that the president's son might be the nominated candidate, and a large number of the APC leaders have also backed him, and that has quite tore apart the demographic of some of the youths in the party and in that space. Tell us how does that speak to Nigerians in general? If the first son is now will be the Minister of Youth, and generally, how would people look at it in terms of performance, in terms of inclusion, and also in terms of
just to back up his question, some people are saying that he's being called to be the Minister of Youth. Others are saying that he's being called to midwife the process. How would you react to that? Should he even be involved in the selection of who becomes the Minister of Youth? How do we digest that?
And how much power does a first son yield to be in that space?
It's a government is for the people, by the people, and for the people. The first son don't have that right to do that.
At all.
He doesn't have that right. This is the power of the president. The president decides what to do. And this is not a family affair. This is a Nigerian affair. If I may just quote an example for Nigeria, this is about Nigeria. And Nigeria is bigger than everybody, including the presidents, as a country. Because Nigeria have to come first before anything. So we need to understand, if you are now telling me that the first son is champion, is going to be the youth leader, the youth minister, this is absolutely wrong. Are we talking about a state? or are we talking about a local government? This is Nigeria as a country. You as a president, I believe there are so many people who are far better than the first son, who can do absolutely better than him, people who are even younger than him. Well, we expect to see somebody who is connected to the youths as a youth minister. Not just everybody because, yeah, you have contributed my quota in the politics, I help you get into the power or anything. It's beyond that because you need to put your country first before anything. We need somebody who represents the youths, somebody that is well connected to the youths, somebody that will listen to the youths, and somebody that will represent them very well. What has his first son done? For him to help his father win an election? Is that a plus or what? It's not a plus to me. For him to
allow me to quote the APC faction that you know they have been making this demands. According to them, he rarely interacted with youths across the country during the elections, and also was a key player in the process that brought the president to power. So they feel like he has the judgment that it takes to make that decision of who becomes the next youth minister or even be the youth minister himself.
When you say the key player, is it because he has money? Is that why? Can he become a key player if he doesn't have money? Who is funding him? You should ask yourself that question. It's not just about being the key player. We see how he moves around in private jet. We see how they do a lot of things. It's involved lots of money. So who is funding him? If they give you that money, do you know what you can do as well? You can also lead it. A common man outside who is nobody, to somebody who has nothing, if you give him money, he can also deliver as well. So it's not about how you get it, but what are the process? You understand? So for him to have his father as a president, it's enough for him.
All right.
So let him go and sit. If he wants to help the youth or has his own capacity as the son of the president, he can as well do. But for him to join the cabinet, I think is very, very wrong. And this is something that we will not even, we don't have power to say we don't agree with it, but I expect even if he do, the Senate should reject it. It's not a family affair because you can't have a president and then the son and the minister and then everything. No, 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 no. We have so many people as well. That's why sometimes you need to expand power. You need to make it like let everybody be part of it. Look, if you are going to put on ministers as a president, sometimes even if you don't like somebody, if that person is competent, work with him, because the aim is not about your own relationship, but how he or she is going to represent the country. That's what really matters.
True. All right, Anthony. You know, to wrap this up. Generally, you know, Nigeria is the youngest country in Africa in terms of, you know, our population. I think 60% of the Nigerian population are under 25, and you know, which makes us the youngest nation in Africa. And sometimes, as much as we clamor, as much as we raise our voices on social media, when it comes to the physical outputs of coming in and nominating and picking a leader and voting, sometimes seems like as if the noise gets watered down when the buck hits the bill, when it's time to actually put in that action. When we saw the tally of the last election and over 30 million people didn't vote, I kept asking myself, what happened to these 20 million people? Where did they go to? Were they stifled by the process? Were they, you know, was the ruckus too much? So my question is, you know, with the large population that the youth have, why is the power still, why don't they still feel that surge of power to, you know, say what, we want to make this happen, and regardless of whatever happens, we will make it happen based on the fact that we have the large numbers.
Okay, talking about large numbers, that's very true. And why are they not pushing to actually get, I don't know if I can say it, get dirty to ensure action take place? I would say most of them they're just tired of recurrent reshuffling, of same old same happening. However, I don't think with the last just concluded election that was the case. I think a lot of people were involved at this time. People came out to vote and people partook in an electoral process. So why is it that even as we talk about this, there's still low turnout to some large extent? People fear the fact that they still believe that their votes don't count, and that's just, I believe, is a myth. because votes do count.
Do count.
Because these are the lies we tell ourselves, and if we don't come out to actually take part in this electoral process, these are the reasons why things remain the way they have been.
Yeah. Let's hold your thoughts there, and I'll take that as your final thoughts. Then, Honorable, your final thoughts too on this.
For me, the truth be told. The youth, the question is, are we ready? That is the big question. And I will start to disagree by saying they are tired. They are not tired. Let me tell you one of our biggest problems with the youths. We easily compromise. We see money as everything. We can have a better plan that we can achieve in the next 5, 10 years. The next thing will be like, man, I can't wait that long. How much are we getting? You call for a youthful meeting, the next thing, send me transport money. What are we getting in the meeting? How much is it? Who is going to be there?
What are they paying?
You call for a meeting, if they did not hear a big name among the elites, they won't attend because they know their fellow youths can't give them anything. You just hear them saying, we are tired, we'll just go and talk and talk and talk. Now talk, we go chop. We keep cutting that. It's eating us on a daily basis. And there's one thing with time. Before you realize, it is 10 years gone. Before you realize, you are old and nothing for you to show. And then you go just like that. And you ask yourself a question, why is our leaders not afraid of the youths? It's a big question because they know they can control us at any given time once they put money on the table. So we need to understand that. If we are ready to work as a team, let us work as a team. We keep saying that, they keep saying that we are tomorrow's leaders, tomorrow leader, and tomorrow never come. We are the one that, we the youths, we are the one that supported stopping this tomorrow to come.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to build for tomorrow. We only depend. Honorable member is coming back in town. We're going to collect 10,000. We're going to collect 20,000. Aluta continue.
All right.
I think that's a fine place to leave it. You know, to the youth, Honorable Idris and Anthony have been giving us, you know, their deep thoughts and critical analysis of youth inclusion in Nigerian governance. And like they both rightly said, you know, you don't wait for the buck to come to you. You know, you take the bull by the horn. You know, you're attending youthful meetings doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, there won't be anything forthcoming coming from it. I mean, Zainab, you know, just like they mentioned, you can't just keep waiting. Tomorrow is here. The leaders of tomorrow is here. You know, generally, you know. So if we want to take the bull by its horn, if you want to actually be in governance, like Honorable rightly said, they know that we can be controlled. You know, Nigerian youths don't get compromised. Don't get compromised. I think that's a fine place to leave it. Ayo Adams.
Yes, and young people should change the narrative. I am Zainab Adetola. See you next week.
Bye-bye for now.